Hey, this is Patrick Coffin. Do you know what's going on in Brazil? This week, there was a historic march led by a young, very brave Christian conservative politician. His name's Nikolas Ferreira. He's from Minas Gerais in the southern, I guess, western part of Brazil. And he started a march to protest the treatment of former President Jair Bolsonaro, and also to protest the draconian, tyrannical actions of President Lula da Silva and his main hatchet man, who honestly looks like something out of Central Casting. He looks like a Marvel Comics villain, Alexandre de Moraes. He's a jurist, Supreme Court justice, and the right-hand man, you could say, of Lula, the communist leader of Brazil. X has been censored, Telegram, all kinds of media outlets have been the subject of crackdown by Moraes and Lula. And ordinary Brazilians are just fed up. They're just done. A lot of fear has crept into the country because the legacy boomer media follows along with whatever the government lapdogs tell them to do, tell them to cover and what to ignore. But this is way too big. This scale, I'm going to show you some footage now of this Nikolas Ferreira-led protest. It's way out of scale from, let's say, a famous one like the Selma to Montgomery March in the 1960s by MLK. Martin Luther King Jr. walked about 55 miles. This is 260 kilometers, 160 miles, thousands and thousands. When they finally get to Brazilia from Minas Gerais, the state where he's representing, it's a sea of humanity to the end of the horizon. It's pretty amazing. I just want to show you this footage here. It's stunning to watch. This is history right here. And this is what they don't want you to look at. You can't really find this footage inside Brazil unless you're plugged into social media networks. Here it is.
Something wrong. You've been putting up with my shit just way too long. I'm so gifted at finding what I don't like the most. So I think it's time for us to have a toast.
That's stunning. 6 days. Now remember, in Brazil, it's wintertime, which means because they're south of the equator, you can boil eggs on the sidewalk. Super, super hot. This is a 6-day walk. It's called the Caminhada pela Liberdade, the March for Freedom. And each day, this crowd built and built and built. Now, there was a strange thing that happened at the end. There was a lightning storm that came up, and lightning kind of bolted into the crowd, and 70 people were injured. Now the left loves to make hay about things like this. Oh, look, God is punishing the crazy right-wingers. But actually, no fatalities. That's like saying because Jim Caviezel was hit by lightning twice on the set of The Passion of the Christ, that must mean that God was displeased with the Mel Gibson movie. Doesn't make any sense. Or it could have just been coincidence. Nikolas Ferreira deserves a lot of credit for organizing this. I would love to get him on my show. I understand he speaks English well. He is an evangelical Protestant, so he brings his Christian faith into the public square. And one of my mentors and friends is Dr. Peter Kraft, who said famously, when a maniac is at the door, feuding brothers reconcile. So the maniacs at the door are the communistic government under Lula da Silva, his main hatchet man, Alexandre de Moraes, the jurist and minister, Supreme Court justice, whose wife has been entangled in her own scandals, financial and otherwise. You can do your research on her, and land deals in Miami, Florida. So we're talking about a whole corruption culture that can't stand light being shed on actions. Ordinary Brazilians are fed up with the radicalized leftism that has passed for politics in Brazil in recent years under Lula da Silva. Now, there's some dim parallels. You don't want to press the comparison too tightly, but Lula is kind of like Biden, and Trump is kind of like Bolsonaro. There's some, obviously, cultural and political differences there, too. Many Brazilians believe that Lula's election was stolen, and they want justice. This is one of the goals of this march, ending with thousands and thousands. It was just a sea of humanity. They want justice for the January 8th rioters. Now, there was a protest in January 8th, 2023. It's interesting, right? J6, J8 in Brazil. They handed out 1 year, 5, 10, 20-year sentences. Ridiculous overreach on the part of the government and the military-industrial complex there in Brazil that crushes its opponents. The conservative movement, right-wingers in Brazil, are very logos-minded. Most are Christians, either Catholic or Protestant. They believe in discourse, in debate, in protest, in open dialogue. Let the marketplace of ideas determine the future of the country, and let them determine which laws are best for ordinary Brazilians. But the left, they don't want to debate. They want to delete. And this is why this incredible March for Freedom under Nikolas Ferreira is so important. No guns, no political army, no forces except for the power of words and argumentation and peaceful protest. The sea of humanity you see here is not paid protesters. This is not the result of checks written by George Soros to show up in their fake uniforms. These are ordinary Brazilians. I've been to Brazil 3 times. I know many people in Brazil in many parts of the country in different ethnic backgrounds, and they all are united in their horror of what's happened to Brazil. And I don't think this march, this 6-day march led by Nikolas Ferreira, is going to be the last. I think it's going to be the first of many momentum-building protests so that the mainstream legacy boomer media in Brazil, they're not going to be able to ignore it. And with coverage like this and your ability to share it far and wide, the government just might, with prayers and the increased courage of the ordinary Brazilian people, turn this around so Brazil can wake up and take their country back from this clique of elite millionaires, billionaires, and tyrants that have forced ordinary Brazilians into a state of kind of almost political ecclesial Stockholm syndrome, where they're beginning to adopt or internalize the commands of their oppressors. This march has turned all that around, and more to come. Our Lady of Aparecida, pray for Brazil and pray for those who love freedom. If you care about freedom, if you love Jesus and you want to support the Brazilian people, spread this message. If maybe you have someone in Brazil, maybe you can spread it around here so that the eyes of the world are gazed ever more closely on what's going on in Brazil, and they can essentially get their country back. I'm Patrick Coffin. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Let the content come from you. Check out the True North movement. It's patrickcoffin.media. I'd love to have you follow me on my podcast. And in the meantime, be a saint. What else is there?